Hey, welcome back to Laser Engraving 911. So on this episode, I'm going to show you how to make some embossing dies with your CO2 laser so you can make some awesome crafty stuff just like this. So if that sounds like something you want to get into, then buckle up, get your pen and paper out, because we're about to get into it on Laser Engraving 911. All right, so now that we've got our embossing stamps made that we just made over on the laser, let's talk about all the different fun little tidbits we get to use to decorate this leatherette journal from Johnson Plastic Plus. So we've got our embossing stamps that we just laser engraved and laser cut. We've got a little dry brush to sweep away any little leftover embossing powder. We've got some embossing powder glue. They call it ink, and then we've got the ink pad that we're going to use to apply the glue to the stamp. We've got a little tamping foam brush, and I couldn't fit everything under the camera, and there's a couple more things I want to show you. I do, depending on the stamp, like to use this little roller to roll over the stamp just to get nice even pressure, but sometimes it's not necessary. It's just good to have one of these little rollers. And then of course, you can get yourself a small crafting heat gun like this, or you could use a regular heat gun. Just make sure that you keep it on the lowest setting, but this one works really good. It's really concentrated. It's got a little heat guard on it, but this is what I saw other people that are doing heat embossing like this use, so I went and picked one up, and it actually does work really well. And of course, as always, I'll list links in the description below to all these different products that we're using in here, so you can get your hands on them if you want and start decorating this way yourself at your shop. I want to talk about our experimental stage where we were experimenting with different stamps. We did this lion here. We found that by leaving all this excess area around here, we actually were more prone when we pressed down with the glue to get glue on these outer corners and stuff. So that's why we decided in the end it was better to die cut the final stamp out so you have as little excess material around the edge as possible. We made a few other stamps with some really fine lettering for my daughter. We were making a little journal for her, and that's really fine lettering. Here's another tiny little just a script one that we did here. Just experimenting with the different depths on the acrylic to figure out what worked best. And we definitely found out that the 1.5 millimeter depth is the minimum depth required. And the way we checked that was with our caliper tool. We would do, 4 passes of engraving, then 5, then 6, and we ended up with our machine doing 6 passes total to achieve 1.5 millimeters depth. So now that we've kind of gone over the tools that we're going to use, let's go ahead and apply some glue to this journal so we can get that embossing powder on there and show you some magic. Here we go. So I laser cut this template out of a regular piece of paper, and I built this based on this particular journal and where I wanted the art to be. That way I'm not guessing where I want to put my stamp. So it's just out of paper, and I'm just going to lay it right over the area that I want to put my embossed stamp. And I'm just going to take a little piece of blue painter's tape. You know I love my blue painter's tape. And I'm just going to tack it down lightly so it doesn't move, just like that. And that gives me a target area of where I would like to put my embossing stamp. And if you're going to do a lot of these journals with the same logo on all of them this way, it is advised that you make yourself some sort of reusable template that you can keep using on the journals. That way you can generally make sure everything's straight. So now that we got our template on, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some glue from our pad here onto our first embossing stamp. This stamping pad has some glue here already, and it probably has enough, but I'm going to take the refill that comes with it and just kind of go like this a little bit over the stamping surface. And then I'm going to take an aluminum business card and just kind of smash it into the pad. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this glue all over the surface of the stamp that we created by just tamping it like this and make sure I get all the raised surfaces with this glue. One of the things we found out is you want to make sure you put definitely a healthy amount of glue on these stamps. So I'm pretty sure I got all the spots. So I'm not sure if you can see that on here, but it's definitely shiny and gooey and definitely all glued up. So now I'm just going to take this, turn it over. I'm going to use my little template that I created and line it up to the best of my ability and press it down. And then I'm going to press it nice and firm in all the areas that I want it to go, so that glue sticks to the surface. I could even use my little roller just to really get it on there nice and even, and then I'm just going to lift up straight without dragging. And there we go. There's our first glue for the embossing powder to stick to. Now we're going to do the Roman numerals, the 2023. We're going to do the same thing, add some glue on there. Just tap it, tap it, tap it, so it gets nice and full of glue there. Make sure it's going the right way. Clean my fingers off. This glue is water soluble, which is really cool. I'm going to use my template here. Try to get as center as I can. Go straight down without shifting it. Press firm. I'm not going to use the roller on this one. I'm just going to use my fingers. Make sure that glue gets everywhere. I'm going to lift up straight, just like that. And now quickly, I'm going to remove my template. I don't need this anymore. You want to work kind of quick. You don't want the glue to dry out. And then I'm going to put this powder all over and hope that it sticks to the glue. And we get the cool results that we got the other day. There's the embossing powder going all over the areas that we just put glue down on. And then we're going to take our other tool, this little tamping tool, and I'm just going to I'm just letting this drop on top of the powder, like lifting it up, dropping it, dropping it. I'm not putting any pressure on it. And I figured by doing this, you get more powder to stick to the glue. Now we're going to lift this up and let all that excess powder just fall off into this piece of paper so we can recapture it for a later project. And I'm literally just flicking it, kind of tap the back. You could even kind of get underneath the cover here. And hopefully all the embossing powder that we wanted will stay in the areas. Now, there's a lot of left over there, but that's okay. We're going to get rid of that here. And I'm going to show you how I do that. So we're going to come over here. We're going to use our handy dandy portable compressed air. And I'm not going to go right next to it. I'm going to do it from a distance. And you can see that all that loose powder is going away. You can get real close, as long as you're not going directly on where your glue is. Back over here at the fun zone, that brush that we were talking about earlier, you want to go through and you want to get rid of any little leftover specks that were left, because we're going to heat this embossing powder up, and anything that's left on there is going to also get melted, and we don't want that. We only want where we want it to melt. Man, we are in super craft mode here. Another trick that you can do, which we're not doing in this video, is you can put a fine layer of talc over before you apply the glue, so these little flakes don't stick around. But I think we're looking pretty good right now. So next thing we're going to do is we are going to show you the magic of embossing powder. Let's get to it. Yes, sir. That is awesome. That is some of the coolest embossing tech that I have seen, and what a great way to decorate some leatherette journals. I like how it still has that stamped embossed look, like it was literally done with like liquid gold. Also has kind of a distressed look, which is pretty awesome. And it really is like liquid gold. It looks really cool. Probably way better in person than it does on camera. So you just let that dry for a minute or two. Definitely don't want to touch it. And it has this definite raised feel, this really kind of almost like a puffy paint feel. And it actually stays on really well. We did one test where we tried to scrape off with a paint scraper, and it took quite a bit of force to start to ruin it. So it's pretty impressive how well this bonds to the material. All right, so now that we completed our project, let's go ahead and review some of the other colors that you can get in embossing powder. And this is by no means all the colors that the embossing powder comes in. It comes in pretty much all the colors. We just got in silver, black, which is super awesome. We really like the black. It almost looks like shiny black epoxy. It's really vibrant. And then of course you just saw us do the gold. And depending on how much glue you put down, your pressure, the material, you're either going to get more of a solid fill we found in our testing. Sometimes you'll get kind of a distressed look like this one. But what's amazing with this process is even these high detailed stamps that we made still, I mean, the amount of detail that this captured was kind of blew me away, and that's why I wanted to share it with y'all. Once again, lots of different colors to choose from. Process has been explained. I would love to know in the comments below what project you're going to use this on and what you think, how you could use it in your laser engraving business or laser engraving applications to decorate different materials. All right, well, that about wraps it up for this episode of Laser Engraving 911. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as this little baby duckling did. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you got value out of this video. And if you don't want to like, comment, and subscribe for me here at Laser Engraving 911, at the very least, do it for the baby duckling. She needs all the support she can get. No. Oh, she's biting me. Oh,